Hello, Popoki here, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 Hunter build video. So if you know me, I am a big Mask of Fealty user. I've been posting about it since ages past, and I was very excited with the Monument of Triumph to see what Fealty could do with the new armor set bonuses, and there was two that came to mind, the Seraph set and the Grasp set. But the Grasp set has been disabled for a really long time, so I haven't been able to test it until now. And the Seraph set has been what literally everyone is gravitating towards. I mean, like, you look up Mask of Fealty, there's like 7 videos that are just saying Seraph is the best armor set in the game, but that just simply isn't true in any way. The Grasp set is just ridiculously like stronger in every way, and you can see that in the intro footage here. You can go back if you wish to see even more. Grasp is way stronger than Seraph, and there's like no contest between them, and it is like the best Fealty has ever been. So let's get into that. So what does the Grasp armor set or the Yearning Echo armor set actually do in the context of Stasis? So when you get ammo pickups or Stasis shard pickups, it is going to give you a stack of Untold Greed. When you get stacks of Untold Greed, it is going to give you a 10% DR, and every single stack is going to increase the amount of energy gains you get for your elemental pickup. Since we are using Stasis shards, that is going to increase the amount of melee energy we get back from our Stasis shard pickups. The maximum amount of energy back you can get is at 7 stacks of Untold Greed, and it's around a 100 or more percent increase to our melee generation from our Stasis shards. So if it takes, 10 shards to get 2 melees back prior, it's going to take 4 or 5, really up to random chance, to get your 2 melees back. So it basically cuts everything in half and makes loops really, really easy. Untold Greed can stack to 100 times, but it's purely a visual thing and does not stack over 7 stacks of Untold Greed. When you hit red health or break your shields, it is going to remove all your Untold Greed stacks and spit out a bunch of orbs in front of you. You can go and pick up those orbs and get back your stacks. So you're basically always going to have Untold Greed times 7. You'll never not have it, especially with the exotic that I'm going to be talking about right now. Mask of Fealty. So on this channel, we've been using Mask of Fealty since it's come out, and I've been a huge pusher that it is a meta exotic, and it seems like a lot of people have been catching up to it in Monument of Triumph. But what does Mask of Fealty actually do? Mask of Fealty is going to make our Withering Blades create a crystal on our first and third bounce of our Withering Blades, and every single time our Withering Blade hits a wall or bounces, it is going to give us a portion of our melee energy back. This is generally going to be around a 15% refund whenever you throw your Withering Blade, and whenever your Withering Blade shatters a crystal, basically just hits a crystal at all, it'll just explode. It is going to create a fan out of Withering Blades, and those are going to create even more crystals and refund you even more energy. With the changes to Stasis in Monument of Triumph, destroying crystals is going to give you a Stasis shard. So every single time you use your melee with Mask of Fealty, it is going to give you a stack of Untold Greed, and as long as you have 7 stacks of Untold Greed, you will be able to just use Mask of Fealty melees, and they will self-sustain and refund themselves for every single one that you use. So to tie everything together between Fealty and the Grasp armor set bonus, what are we using for our Stasis subclass? Well, first we are using Gambler's Dodge. This is going to refund both of our melee charges when we are near enemies as long as we have 100 melee, which we will have. Then we have Glacier Grenades. When we throw this down, it is going to just appear crystals. You can throw your Fealty at it, you can shoot it with your gun. This is going to create 5 Stasis shards, and that is going to kind of act like a healing grenade with our artifact. This is going to give us Untold Greed stacks, it's going to heal us, and it's going to spread our Fealty crystals even further, right? So perfect, use it in a pinch, use it to get your Untold Greed stacks back up if you ever hit red health, it's perfect. Then we have for our aspects, we have Grim Harvest. So Stasis shards are going to give us Frost Armor when we pick them up. We are going to have constant Stasis shards absolutely everywhere, and taking damage with Frost Armor is going to give us class ability energy. We want that class ability energy because we want to get our knives as much as possible. For our next fragment, we have Winter's Shroud. Dodging near enemies will grant you a 50% DR for 5 seconds, slowing nearby enemies and making your dodge cooldown around 300% faster at all times. This is just plain good, especially with the class ability regen from Grim Harvest, paired with Winter Shroud's class ability regen and a specific artifact mod. We're going to be able to spam the 50% DR and the Gambler's Dodge to get our melees back. So this all works absolutely perfectly. And then for our fragments, we have Whisper of Conduction. This is just going to make shards track to us, so we don't have to go and grab them. It's very annoying. Then we have Whisper of Rime. This is going to make Frost Armor stack up to a 50% DR and make these stacks last longer. Then we have Whisper of Fissures. This is going to make crystals and shatters do slightly more damage. It usually isn't a lot, but it actually stacks with the Hail of the Storm artifact mod, making it actually pretty decent to use. Then we have Whisper of Shards. This will make our grenade regen 500% faster, basically forever, because all of our abilities make and destroy crystals. Then we have Whisper of Hunger. This is going to increase the amount of melee energy we gain from shards by quite a bit. It goes from like 10 to 17 and from 50 to 75. So this is a massive increase to our melee we get back from shards. And yes, this does stack with the Grasp of Avarice armor set, which is pretty much the only reason why this loop can even function. For our artifact, we are going to, of course, be using the Slayer Baron's Apothecary Satchel. This is the only thing you should ever be using for a stasis build, and these are the mods. So we have Crystalline Converter. After activating your class ability, your next stasis weapon Final Blow will create a stasis shard. This is useless, it's never going to happen, especially in minus 50 content, but gathering stasis shards will gain you stacks of Crystalline Converter, which when you hit a powered stasis melee hit will create a bunch of stasis crystals, and that is just going to make us, get more shards, explode more enemies, deal more damage, get more stacks of Untold Greed, everything we want, right? And then we have Wind Chill. Rapid stasis weapon hits will grant you a stack of Frost Armor, and hits against slowed and frozen targets will create a stasis shard. With a specific weapon I'm going to be talking about next, this is going to be a very good perk, especially for upkeeping our melees. Then we have Frost Renewal. While you have Frost Armor, taking critical damage releases a burst that freezes nearby combatants and grants Frost Armor to you and nearby allies. So this is just going to keep your Frost Armor up even more, especially if you're in a situation where you're constantly reaching red health. But with the next artifact mod, this will not be a problem. So the next one is Curative Orbs. The first time you break a target shield or break the shield of a guardian, blah blah blah, you'll create an Orb of Power. Not very interesting, but collecting an elemental pickup, an Orb of Power, or destroying a Tangle gains you a small amount of health. This is going to be a 40 HP per pickup, and guess what? Stasis Shards count as an elemental pickup, of course, for Curative Orbs. Stasis Shards already give you a 10 HP per shard thing, so with Curative Orbs, we are going to be getting 50 HP, yep, 50 HP per Stasis Shard. Note that we are constantly having an influx of like 10, 20, just constantly, coming towards us from Conduction. So with this, with the DR from Stasis, with the DR from Winter Shroud, we are invulnerable to all damage, as you can see in the gameplay, in minus 50 content. You cannot die. And then we have Hail the Storm. Shattering frozen targets and stasis crystals will deal increased damage, and shattering stasis crystals will release shards of ice that damage and slow targets. This will stack with Whisper of Fissures, and it's just going to make our crystals that we are going to be spamming deal just a little bit more damage, which will add up eventually, right? Then we have Brain Freeze. Frozen combatants will become surrounded by chilling fog, which will slow combatants that aren't already slowed. So this is just going to, let's say you slow you freeze like an unstop, right? If he ever breaks from that, he's going to immediately become slowed again, and then that'll just make it easier for you to freeze him back again. And then we have Served Cold. This one is huge. Picking up a stasis shard will grant you class ability energy. Now, I did test this with the Grasp Armor set, and no, the Grasp Armor set does not buff the amount of class ability energy you get per stasis shard from Served Cold. Would have been sick, but it's whatever. This is going to make us have infinite class ability uses, especially because we have things like Winter Shroud giving us a 300% increase to our class ability regeneration, and our other aspect giving us class ability every time we get taking damage while we have Frost Armor. So with Serve Cold and all those perks, we are going to have constant, as you can see, dodges that just never go away. For this build, I'm going to recommend two weapons. The first one is pretty obvious. It is Icebreaker. First of all, I didn't use this weapon with my previous Mask of Fealty builds because it wasn't anti-barrier, but now it's anti-barrier, so fair game. Icebreaker is going to explode all stasis crystals you shoot with a solar explosion, and if you shoot a frozen combatant, it will ignite them. Shots against frozen and slowed targets will refund ammo back to the magazine. So if you just hold this weapon in your hands the whole time you're doing your loop, and you're just hip firing it whenever the enemy becomes frozen, or whenever there's shards that you wish to get destroyed, like your Glacier Grenade, It's very, very useful, very, very good, and should be used at all times with this build. And the next weapon is a bit of a wild card, Dead Horse 04. Dead Horse 04 has a very particular role which really, really, really buffs this build greatly. So the first perk is Grave Robber. When you hit an enemy with a Withering Blade, it is going to reload this gun's magazine from reserves, but it's a primary, has infinite reserves, and improve its handling. And then the perk we're actually looking for, Collective Pugilism. Collecting an elemental pickup, aka Stasis Shard, will make the weapon give us melee energy on hit for a period of time. So if you just grab a Stasis Shard while the weapon is in your hand, or even when your weapon is not in your hand, it is going to give you stacks of Collective Pugilism. That means every single time we get hits with our weapon, it is going to give us melee energy back. So we can just sit there, shoot the enemy, and get melee energy back. And the way we're going to be using this for this build is you can just hold mouse 1 while you are doing the melee combo, and all the hits that you're getting against that enemy are going to both create stasis shards from the artifact mod that makes stasis weapons make stasis shards when they hit slowed and frozen targets, and it is going to give you back melee energy from Collective Pugilism, which just makes this build a lot more loopable. The stats and mods for this build are as follows. The stats are going to be 100 in every single stat except for health, but this is not achievable because a Whisper of Hunger is going to take away 20 melee, so you have to take 20 stat out of something, and I would recommend taking it out of super. So you'd have 100 melee, 100 grenade, 100 class, and 100 weapons. For our mods, you don't have to follow this very, very strictly. I'm just running Heavy Ammo Finder, Dynamo, Harmonic, Impact, 2 Focusing Strikes, Concussive, Arc Resist, Charged Up, Kinetic Scavenger, Class Font, Double Class Font, Powerful Attraction, and the only important mod that you should be using is Elemental Charge, either 1 or 2 of them. This is going to make it to where when we pick up a Stasis Shard, it is going to give us an armor charge. So to show off the actual build itself, how it works, how it functions in gameplay, I'm just going to run the master Conflux Law Sector that everyone be running for the Nessus armor. So the first thing I want to do is get my Untold greed stacks to 7, so I'm just going to break the crystals, the Glacier Grenade, and I am already at 7. So now I can just kind of do whatever, because I'm going to have infinite melees back. So as long as I actually hit my enemies, the shards are going to just refund themselves. So I can just sit in front of the enemies, the shards are going to heal me, they're going to give me DR, and I can just sit here and just melee, and melee, and melee, as much as I want. More champions, anti-bears. I'm just gonna hit him with that, hit him with that, hit him with that, hit him with this, and just keep throwing melees. Just make sure to actually hit your target, or else you're not gonna get refunds. Yeah, so you're basically just stacking Untold Greed, and then just breaking crystals and throwing melees. Like, it is the most brainless thing you could possibly do. And since every single thing will heal you and give you DR, you're just practically immortal. Like, I don't know how many times I need to say it. Like, I'm pretty sure I could probably just spam melees into this guy and just not die. Need my shards. Yeah? Yeah, I can just press the melee button 100 times over. Use this to heal me. Oh, this shard's trapped behind the ice. Use this to heal me and get more damage out. Put some icebreaker shots in there to increase the DPS so we're not just wasting our time. Yeah, so it gets a little wild, it gets a little crazy, because even without hitting enemies, as long as you hit a crystal, you can just fully refund your melees and just keep it going for as long as you want. There's no stopping it. If it wasn't for no patches being a thing, I would assume this build would get nerfed in the future. So that's how the build works. Enjoy it. Thank you for being a member. Davy, Maya, Zephyr, Froghead Dog, Rimu, Easties, Bukang King, Tanner White, Joy-Con, Seppuku Angel, Second Minx, Equitas, Juker, The Zesty Lime, Nighty K, Kai Rain, Vinny Rotten, Daniel Luciano, E-Brainrot, Kazuhira, Cosmilk, BKL Finest, Christodge, Love Hate J, Mr. Spartan, Big Business, Tuna, R17A, Alley Cat, Vaughn, Emery, William, Will, Poppy Princess, Nupsy, Tima, Devilish Dealer, Salty the Great, your buddy Fred. Thank you so much for being members.